and fellow ferret owners. Say hi, Ashes. This is my buddy Ashes, and today we're going to be doing a bath. Now, my ferret has fleas, so I'll also be showing you how to help get rid of them. So, ready for bath? Alright, so, first off, make sure people haven't dumped ice into your sink. It looks like there's ice in here, so might want to melt that off, and that's a good time to learn how hot your water is. Use the inside of your wrist because that's one of the more sensitive areas of your skin, and you want it to be relatively warm because ferrets do catch hypothermia very easily, so we don't want them to get sick. He already knows what's going on. He's not happy. Now, I use Ferret Sheen, a Marshall's ferret product. Now, because it's winter, I also have a heater plugged in nearby on the sink and a counter or stove beside the sink. And it will be helping keep my ferret relatively warm. And so once you start bathing your ferret, your water is the proper temp. You set him down. I find holding him like so helps. And then to introduce him to the water, slowly start putting it on his back. He's still not very happy with me. And remember to continually check how warm the water is, because you don't want it to get too hot or too cold, because ferrets are very sensitive. They're smaller than us, so they're more sensitive than us. Go figure. Once you have your ferret thoroughly soaked, which may take a few tries because of them shaking, you're going to want to put on a lot of soap. I like using a lot of soap because it helps make sure I get it everywhere. They will stick their own heads underwater, but do be careful about getting water in their ears because it's uncomfortable. Alright, now I put a lot liberal right behind the shoulders and down the back. This bottle is almost empty. And then you lather it through. For those of you who wear glasses, I recommend taking them off before bathing your ferret. Otherwise, you can't see what you're doing very well. Don't forget to get underneath their claws and between their toes. And carefully get it right up to the ears. This will be difficult to rinse off, but it's good for them. Don't forget under their chins. And carefully work your way down their body. Don't squeeze too hard when you're petting your ferret. But you don't have to worry about hurting too bad with a gentle, light push. Almost like you're trying to give them a nice little massage. It helps calm my ferrets down. I don't know about your guys's. When they were little, they used to hate baths, to the point where they would literally do everything in their power to get out of the sink. Don't forget their tail and their behinds. As gross as it may sound to the youngies, you have to wash their rumps. Alright. Once they're thoroughly lathered, take your fine-tooth comb. I recommend bleaching it afterwards just to make sure that you don't have any gunk in it. And you brush up their fur. This helps find any fleas that are in the fur. And I recognize I probably should have done this video with my other ferret, who is a lighter of color, so you guys could better see any possible fleas. But I figure most of you will probably have sables, because that's one of the more common. This also will help get rid of the excess fur, because unlike a lot of the books I read, ferrets do shed. And that's just the way it is. And they don't shed a lot, which is probably why they say they're not excessive shedders. So you still want to get rid of the extra fur as well. Otherwise it creates a mess inside the cage. You're not very happy, are you, Ashes? I know, Bobby. I know. I'm looking for fleas. I find talking to my ferrets helps calm them down because they are attuned to your voice as their matron or their parent or their guardian or whatever you want to call it, but they're attuned to you if you've been attentive to them. Say hi, Stinky. You'll notice the claws are not very sharp, and that's because I trimmed them before this. I use regular nail trimmers. I can't get a good shot of the claws with all this soap, so I'll do it later. And I know this is kind of the long and boring part because you gotta rub them down a lot. Make sure you get all the loose dirt, any dandruff, any of this sort of stuff. Alright, now, keeping your ferret out of the direct water in case it got hot again, which mine did. There we go. Introduce your ferret back to the water again. Remember, my ferret doesn't like it, so be careful. I know. Oh, got cold again. What is wrong with you? You are fighting me here, Bubby. Alright. Being careful to use your fingers to carry the water to the ears so you don't get soap in their ears. Rinse off their heads. Make sure you get all the soap from around their heads. That way when they stick their heads back in the water, they won't get it in their ears or eyes. Part of me thinks he enjoys sticking his head in the water. Make sure you get the soap off of his chin. And you can move a little faster to get the soap off the rest of them. Make sure to keep him supported at all times, because otherwise it can help them freak out not being supported. Go. Looks like we got all the ferret shampoo off. Hey, that's stinky. Alright, now, while you're here, go ahead and start running your fingers through their fur and trying to find any fleas, which I'm not finding on you. I know. I know. You're like, how could you? Why are you doing this to me? I think they enjoy smelling bad.
No, what he's saying is, let go of me so I can roam the place where I'm not allowed to be.
Yes.
It's not allowed on the counters.
There. I am not seeing any fleas on you. But I know you have fleas, which means they're now on me. Oh, the joy. Now, even though I still don't see fleas, I'm going to do the second step anyway. I use regular Dawn dish soap to help stun the fleas. I stun any fleas by lathering on dish soap. Regular Dawn dish soap. And it should stun any fleas and scare them straight to his face, which I know has got to be uncomfortable for this little booger, but it's the shortest area of fur, which means it's the easiest for me to find. But I'm still not seeing any fleas on you. Now, while I'm going through the lathering process again, I'm going to explain to you guys something that I learned. Since ferrets are so small, you can use small partial dosages of cat flea medicine, but only under the recommendation of your vet. I got some special dosage for my ferrets from my vet, and it seems to work pretty good when I remember to put it on once a month, which is recommended. It's also recommended that you bathe your ferrets at least once a month, but no more than twice a month. Because, again, of the hypothermia risk. And they do seem to like their sink. I'm peeling through his fur, trying to find any fleas, but you can see, hopefully, that there seem to be none. I mean, that's all. Which is bizarre, because his buddy, who stays in the same cage, had so many of them, I literally had to almost sit there with tweezers. No fleas. So, we're going to turn the water back on. Remember to keep your ferret out of the water. Check the water. People, I know. He just dumped his own head again. Alright, carefully get rid of the water. Oops, I know. So cold. Oh, that's really cold. There we go. Getting a little bit warmer. He says, I see the counter in the stove. And I also see the treat tube.
That's where he's going at.
I see, we use a Ferret Bath for treat. I find it's very good to hold them still. Another Marshall's ferret brand thing. How's the camera doing? Getting wet? Good. Alright, this is actually kind of the hard part, is getting all the soap off before we do the drying process. Really? Make sure there is no residual soap because it will give them diarrhea, which is not fun to clean up. Alright. My ferrets seem to hold a lot of water in their pelts, so run your hand over them a few times to help get rid of excess water. Looking a little like a drowned rat here, and he's not happy. Now, I use a regular bath hand towel, and I wrap him up kind of like a baby. And it helps keep him from clawing the snot out of me, because he does. It's at this point he starts to realize he does not smell like a stinky ferret anymore. And he starts to wig out. He just freaks out here. Alright. Holding him by the scruff, dry off his belly, because you want to get him dry as pretty much as soon as possible. Want my help? No, I got him. Don't forget to dry between his toes. And I lost grip on his scruff here. Yes, baby, I know. Give him something to grab onto. Shh, it's okay. I'm a little rough in my drying because he is not being cooperative. And it's a lot like petting him, only with a towel. And no, poof. Once you've dried him, you're not done. Because ferrets don't do a very good job of cleaning their ears. So, once you have them wrapped securely in the towel, to help keep them warm if any residual wetness, and to hopefully pin his arms down. There. Give him a treat. This will let him know he's not in trouble. And to know that he's being a good boy. Kinda. Now, using a Q-tip, preferably one with a non-plastic center, you scruff them. I'm going to get real close to the camera so you can see this little guy's ear. He hates this part. You go in and you gently clean out the ears. If he'll hold still.
He's curly.
Yep. There we go. Gently clean out the ears by following the little contours of his ear. Don't go too far into his ear or else you might hurt him.
I know.
He always does that. He doesn't like it in his ear.
I know.
And the earwax should be a yellowy kind of brown color. From day one, that's always been the color of their earwax, so I'm assuming that is the correct color of earwax. If you see it a little bit too much redder, then you know that they might have something going on in their ears. And it's could be dangerous. Probably an ear infection from the fleas. Alright, do the same with the other ear, however you find holding them best. Again, here's thick earwax, so you can be disgusted.
Mmm.
And now you give him a treat again, because that is the most uncomfortable part of being bathed. There we go.
Do you know what's hilarious is when you have that stuff when you have two ferrets going at it at the same time and one of them gets it all over their head and they're trying to lick it off themselves but they can't, so the other one's like, I'll help you!
Now, I've taken Q-tip and actually brushed their teeth, if he'll let me. There we go. I literally come in here and weasel my way in against his teeth and rub the outside edges because it sort of cleans their teeth up a little bit better. He's wiggled out of the towel again. There we go. Looks like he's got a little bit of gunk on some of his back molars here. I let them chew on this and it actually helps them get the stuff out. You just don't want to let them swallow any of it, because that's not healthy. There we go. And that is the hard part of bathing your ferrets. Make sure they're nice and dry, because, again, hypothermia. Can't stress that enough. With ferrets, it's not if. It's when. When they get sick. When they get hurt. Which is kind of just an inevitable, pessimistic point of view on life, but it's more accurate than if. Now, let's go see something funny. It's okay, buddy. Alright, so, here we are over in their cage, and we get to see something quite funny. Alright, here you go, Bubby. He does not like smelling clean. This is Sid, by the way. His brother. It's a little hard to see, but he is rubbing all up against the plastic and the little tube, and he is doing everything in his power to smell bad again. Oh, a little economy note. Instead of buying the bedding at Petco, PetSmart, or wherever you buy your pet supplies, instead of buying small animal bedding, you use non-bleached, unprinted paper. And it is amazing. It works just the same. And it's very cheap. You make sure you want to have it shredded, not too long and not too small. My shredder does a good job of making sure that the edges are not very sharp so you don't get paper cuts on your poor baby's feet. And it's not long enough for them to choke themselves with. And it works very effective. He's doing everything in his power to smell bad. And Sid was doing the same thing here. This is Sid.
And he was also in the
Yes, he is.
Thanks, Sid.
Sid's such a camera hog. Can't really see Ashes back there in the dark corners. Camera hog.
You're gonna let me out? You're gonna let me out? Really? Yay! Yeah.
So yeah, that's bathing your ferret. Got a question for you guys. Do your ferrets act like complete psychos when you're done bathing them? Because mine do. So anyway, I hope you all have a wonderful holiday season, and I hope this video was educational for those of you who don't know how to bathe your ferrets yet.